Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hi, Deb Johnny. Hi. All right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Maria D. Simone. Welcome to my channel. I am a professional astrologer, and you can learn more about me and my work over at insightfulastrology.com. I'm going on vacation this week. So, in the spirit of me going on vacation, I wanted to let you know that I am putting all of the webinars that I have for sale on my channel on sale for 50% off. So you could go to insightfulastrology.com and purchase any of the webinars that I have out there and get it for 50% off. I currently have a webinar on Saturn in Pisces where I talk to you about what it means when Saturn's in Pisces and Saturn through all of the for all of the signs that particular transit. And then another webinar on how to handle your Saturn transits, because everybody is always going through some kind of Saturn transit. And so I want to help you navigate that no matter what it is. That's another webinar. And then there is a webinar on how to handle your Pluto transits in the spirit of Pluto entering Aquarius later this month. So that is an in-depth webinar. It's actually two webinars. You get buy one, get one free, basically. So it's about 2 hours of material on how to handle any Pluto transit. I give you real tips and tricks and talk to you about all of my personal Pluto transits. So there's a lot going on there, a lot of information. And I wanted you to have access to it because there's just so much energy happening with these planetary shifts of Saturn going into Pisces and Pluto going into Aquarius for everybody. And I want you to understand what that means for you. So please go and check out those webinars. They are on sale. I'm not sure how long I'll keep them on sale for, but right now they're only $17.50 each, half off. Go to insightfulastrology.com and check them out. So I am going on vacation this week. My sister and I are taking my father to Florida to visit some family that we have there. And it should be fun. And so it's got me thinking about family stuff. I have a lot going on all the time with family stuff because I happen to own a Mars in Cancer in my own birth chart. And I wanted to talk to you guys today about Mars transiting Mars going into Cancer on March 25th. This is going to be a pretty big transit. And I want you to have an idea of what this means, not just temporarily by transit, but if you're someone who happens to live with Mars in Cancer every day in your birth chart, like I do, like Deb Johnny does. Deb Johnny has a Mars in Cancer. And hello, Arthur, Patricia, Christina, and Sarah, welcome. So Christina's happy that Mars is leaving Gemini. And that's part of this for sure, because Mars has been in Gemini for an unusually long amount of time because Mars went retrograde in Gemini earlier, late last year. So I was just trying to remind myself how long Mars has been in Gemini for. Mars entered Gemini on August 20th. August 20th, 2022. All right. Take that in for a moment, guys. We have had the planet of action and energy, Mars, in the sign of Gemini since August of 2022. It is now, today is March 13th, 2023. So I think it's safe to say we're all over it. Everybody is over it. Everybody's ready for a change, for this energetic shift, right? So you're going to get Mars staying in one sign for a long time when it's a year that Mars goes retrograde. So that by itself is not so unusual, but the fact that it was Mars in Gemini this time, that's a little less common. So Mars went retrograde in the sky in Gemini back at around October 30th of October 2022, and then turned direct January 12th of 2023. And then on March 25th, so 12 days from today, but coming up soon, Mars will enter Cancer. Oh, I should tell you how long Mars is going to be in Cancer for. It's not going to be as long as the Mars in Gemini transit, because now Mars is moving at his normal speed. So this is just going to be the average transit of Mars through Cancer. And that's going to be until May 20th. So March 25th, 2023 until May 20th, 2023. The planet of action, energy, and drive and ambition is going to be in Cancer. And let's talk about what this means, okay? So I'm going to talk about it first from the perspective of everybody, because collectively we're all having this temporary transit. And then I'm going to tell you about what this means for you if you're born with Mars in Cancer. So, in general, I do think that we're all going to feel excited about the fact that Mars is changing signs because, like I said, Mars has been a Gemini forever and we're all over it. We're all ready for a change. So, what you want to do is look to the house in your chart that has Cancer, because this is where the planet Mars is now going to focus his energy for the next couple of months in your life. And I do cover this in your monthly horoscopes. So if you haven't watched your March horoscope yet, make sure you watch it for your rising sign because that is the most accurate in terms of the math. Uh, and then the sun sign is your themes, the general themes that are going on for you. But find that house wherever Mars is going to be transiting, because some keywords that you want to integrate into this transit is that is going to be an area of your life where there is going to be an inflammation, an aggravation, but also a lot of drive and energy that's about to happen for you in that particular area of your life. It's going to be where you're directly focusing your energy, your action, your assertive ambition and drive. And so that house is the topic, it's the place where you're going to put most of your energy, most of your gas and juice for the next couple of months. That's what's going to motivate you. That's what's getting you out of bed, right? Now, the sign Cancer. We're going from a Mars in Gemini, which was all about mental gymnastics and intellectual ambition, right? Lots of mental energy happening with Mars in Gemini. And we're going from that to Mars in a water sign, Cancer, but this is a cardinal water sign. So Mars going into Cancer is going to feel very different. This is the sign of its fall, which means that Mars is not very comfortable wearing the clothes of Cancer. And so this is, for those of you who have Mars in Cancer, don't go getting all hypersensitive on me and thinking that I'm insulting your Mars placement, because I have Mars in Cancer too. And when I talk about the mechanics of a placement as being in its exaltation, fall, detriment, domicile, I'm just talking about the rules of astrology, how a planet functions, how it is comfortable or not comfortable. And Mars in the sign of Cancer is the most uncomfortable of all for Mars signs because it is in its sign of fall, which means it is totally foreign. It is forced to wear uh, an outfit that it doesn't belong in, that doesn't fit very well, and it's forced to function wearing that particular outfit. Okay, so think about it. If you're forced to wear a pair of jeans that are like 3 sizes too tight, and you're trying to close those jeans up and get them over your legs, you can't even breathe, right? It is just so distracting, so uncomfortable. And that's because you're wearing a pair of jeans that don't fit you. Well, that's what it's going to be like with the planet Mars in Cancer, is that we're all forced to kind of suck it in and wear a pair of jeans that don't fit us for a little while, and to move around in that pair of jeans and do a lot of daily activities because this is the planet Mars. So, Mars in Cancer, the reason why it is so uncomfortable is because Mars, the function of Mars is warrior energy. Mars wants to fight, Mars wants to go, Mars wants to achieve. Mars is the most energetic, dynamic, hot planet in the zodiac. Hot and dry, and it wants to go after something and conquer. Cancer, on the other hand, the sign Cancer is not about conquering, it is about nurturing. Cancer is about it is a cardinal water sign. So Cancer is about nurturing, it is about emotional safety, emotional security. So safety and security have nothing in common with war and fighting. Being a warrior is has nothing in common with being a nurturer, right? They don't match. And so you are putting a square peg into a round hole when Mars is in Cancer. But Mars is always Mars, and it's still going to be Mars, but now the planet of assertive drive and war is forced to function through this Cancerian, tender, emotional, nurturing energy. So you may find that whatever house transiting Mars is moving through in your chart while Mars is in Cancer, whatever that area is, it might be a very sensitive time for you where you're going to be a little more reactive. And when you are motivated to do something, you're going to have more of an emotional attachment to it. There's no more intellectual ability to be logical about how you're directing your energy. Mars is leaving Gemini. Mars is now going to go in Cancer. So it's all about the feels. It's all about emotions. And so this can become a detriment, not an asset, because Mars just wants to kill and fight and conquer and achieve. And now it's being forced to care and to fight connected to one's own security and one's own emotions. And that can, think about it, that can trip you up if you are a soldier in war. If you're a soldier in war, and your job is to be a sniper, let's say, and kill. That's your job. And you're supposed to shoot to kill. And the best warriors are able to detach themselves from any emotion and anything other than the task of, I am going to shoot to kill, killer instinct. You put Mars in Cancer, and now you have a very difficult situation because you're still forced to be a warrior, but it's hard for you to just shoot that person without feeling anything, without being emotional about it, without caring about the consequences and what that is doing to the people that that person loves, and going on and on about how that's going to affect you emotionally and all of that. Okay, so you can see Mars in Cancer, not such a great place in that way. I will tell you that Mars in Cancer, if you live with it. So I talked to you about now already about the transit of Mars in Cancer. Now, for those of us who are born with Mars in Cancer and who have it in our natal chart, or if you know anybody who has Mars in Cancer in their natal chart, you will see that these people, pure Mars in Cancer, unless there are other factors that contradict this, pure Mars in Cancer is typically not a confrontational person, and not an abrasive person in where they're going to just go after you and shoot you to kill you. That's not how Mars in Cancer operates. Mars in Cancer, look, Mars is Mars. Mars is always going to be the warrior and the killer and all of that. But Mars is not going to shoot to kill unless you threaten their security first. Because Mars in Cancer is the motivation, the ambition to maintain emotional security. And the way that you show your passion and desire for anything or anyone is by nurturing that person or that project. So I can talk to you about this, from my own experience of having Mars in Cancer. Mars in Cancer is probably the most important planet in my chart, the most dominant planet in my chart, because I have Aries rising, which means Mars becomes my chart ruler. And the ruler of your chart really ties into your soul's most immediate purpose in this lifetime. So Mars in Cancer becomes my chart ruler. And then where Mars is placed becomes very dynamic for me because I have Mars on an angle. It's on the fourth house cusp. It's between the third house and it's conjunct the fourth house cusp within a couple of degrees. And I always teach my students the planets on an angle are loud and proud. They're going to dominate in your life. So Mars is my chart ruler. It is on an angle. So it's angular, and it is also part of a T-square in my birth chart, which makes it very dynamic. It is the apex. It's at the apex of a T-square. It is conjunct Saturn in Cancer, so that does modify it a little bit. Saturn, it's conjunct Saturn in Cancer. Saturn's the ruler of my midheaven, my career sector. But Mars is also making a square to Pluto and a square to Venus. So it's part of this T square energy. And finally, my Mars is out of bounds in my chart. So it really acts up. Mars is, without a doubt, the most dominant planet in my birth chart. But I will tell you that it doesn't act exclusively in just the Mars and Cancer flavor, because it is attached to Saturn. It is attached to that T square. So that does modify the expression to some extent. Pure Mars in Cancer is going to be somebody who is very passionate about taking care of family, taking care of whoever they have an emotional connection to. So anybody with Mars in Cancer will feel this way. Now, I feel like I definitely am like this with the mama bear energy with my family. And yet I also show this with my students. My students always become my family, in the sense that I really am invested in nurturing my students and nurturing the knowledge of astrology out of them, because my Mars placement is in Cancer in the third house of communication, and it's next to Saturn, the ruler of my career sector. So that's a big driver in my life. Mars is what motivates you. It's the reason you get out of bed every day. And so for me, a big driving force in my life is to assertively teach others about the emotional meaning of astrology, about what that means for you and how it can help you in your soul's journey. So Cancer, people with Mars in Cancer in general are not going to throw the first punch or shoot first, okay? But when a Mars in Cancer is provoked or their security is threatened, these people will eat you alive. They will not stop until you are out of their life, until you are eliminated, because the threat of one's security or one's family's safety is something that they will protect at any price. Mars in Cancer is intensely able to nurture what it loves and what it desires and what it's passionate about. Mars in Cancer can also be highly emotionally reactive and hypersensitive. And I think that for me personally, I have, there's a temper to this for me because I have Saturn in Cancer. So Saturn blocks that and helps to balance that, I think. But pure Mars in Cancer is going to be very reactive, be very emotionally motivated. And so if you are acting because of emotions only, that can make you very sloppy as a warrior. Think about it. It can. And that is the reason why Mars is in its fall in Cancer. Because if you're acting purely because of your emotions and your feelings and emotions are getting in the way of you being able to do something effectively, execute something, solve a problem, move forward and succeed. So I do think that that's where Mars in Cancer tends to get into trouble. And let me know in the comments, for those of you who have Mars in Cancer, or you know somebody who has Mars in Cancer, what your experience is of this placement. I would love to see that. So Shauna, you have Mars in Cancer at 6 degrees. So tell me if you relate to what I'm saying here. And so I'm just looking to see. Okay, so Shauna said she's such a mama bear with her kiddos. Yes, 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 yes. Makes sense. Oh, you also have Saturn in Cancer too. So yeah, so that does, having Saturn and Mars in Cancer together does temper that. It gives you a little bit more emotional control than somebody with pure Mars in Cancer without Saturn. Because remember, Saturn blocks, restricts, makes something mature and responsible. So Deb Johnny, Mars is in my first house, conjunct the ascendant, but my Aquarius moon allows me to temper the emotional response. That would make sense. Yeah, because Aquarius moon people, what do I always say about that? You think before you feel when you have an Aquarius moon. So that is true. You could look to the dispositor, the ruler of Mars in Cancer, if you have Mars in Cancer. So the ruler of Mars in Cancer for any of you is going to be your moon sign, the dispositor of Mars in Cancer, because Cancer is ruled by the moon. So looking to your moon sign, if you have Mars in Cancer, can actually give you more information about how your Mars in Cancer operates. And so for Debjani, with her moon in Aquarius, that would certainly give her more of an ability to be logical and rational. For me, Mars is in the moon, sorry, is in Sagittarius. So that might help also. So let's see. Let me just look at these comments here. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody else. Oh, naturally amplified has Mars and Saturn in Cancer at 1 degree. So let me know how you experience your Mars placement. And if you think that the Saturn placement does temper the emotional reactivity, the emotional outburst potential. So that's where Mars in Cancer can get sloppy, and that's why it's in its fall. But Mars in Cancer, look, if you have Mars in Cancer, this is the way you operate. Now, the strength, let's talk about the strength of Mars in Cancer, because even though it's in its fall and it's forced to wear jeans that are 3 sizes too tight and to walk through life like that, any of our planetary placements, we are forced to use this energy. So this is how we have to live. So I believe that the strength of somebody with Mars in Cancer, and this certainly applies to me, is that if I'm not emotionally invested in something or emotionally passionate about something, then I'm just not interested. And you are not going to see me pick up a pen or do anything for anyone or for any cause or anything if I'm not emotionally invested. So the strength there for somebody who has Mars in Cancer is that if you see these people working towards a goal or helping someone or working towards anything, fighting for any cause, fighting for anyone, then you can be assured that they are doing it because they are 100% emotionally passionate and invested in that person, project, goal, cause, whatever it is. And so that's not a bad thing by itself, because if you are, if you have some skin in the game, right? If you've got emotions invested, you've got skin in the game. And if you've got skin in the game, you're going to make sure you don't lose. Now that is where Mars in Cancer wins. Where Mars in Cancer trips up is if they become too emotionally hyper-focused and sensitive to the point of not being able to take action properly. Okay. So I'll go back to that sniper example. And I know it's a cruel example, but again, Mars is war. Mars is the warrior. So if you're a sniper and you've got to shoot to kill and you can't fire that gun because your emotions are getting in the way, you're not going to do the job. You're just going to be, spinning your wheels there, and you're not going to take action. So let's see. So naturally amplified. I'm trying to read your comments. So Mars actually does not have dignity in Cancer. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. I think you're talking about Mars has reception. It's mutual reception for you because you have the moon in Aries. So if you have Mars in Cancer, then Cancer is ruled by the moon, and your moon is in Aries, and Aries is ruled by Mars. That is known as a mutual reception. And that mutual reception gives it an ability for the Mars and moon to work together in a very significant way. But that's not the same as dignity. Okay. But I see what you're saying. You are intense, and when you fall down, you always get up. Yes, like Rocky. Yes, it's not how hard you hit, it's how hard of a hit you can take. I say that all the time. Oh my gosh, I totally get that. Mars in Cancer is definitely, there's that type of spirit. They will take punches and they will keep going if they're emotionally invested in fighting for something. And people in my life, historically, my life situations, people have been really surprised by how hard I will fight back if my security or my family have ever been threatened. People did not think that I had the balls or the strength or the ability to do certain things that I have done. And that's Mars and Cancer. You will not keep a Mars and Cancer down for long if there is some emotional juice behind why they're fighting. They're going to keep fighting. So, okay. Mars in Virgo in the 12th. Okay, so we're not talking about Mars in Virgo, we're talking about Mars in Cancer. So I hope that this was interesting. I hope you guys have a better understanding of Mars in Cancer and what it's going to mean when Mars goes into Cancer on March 25th for all of us by transit. And if you are born with Mars in Cancer, what it means for you personally. So thank you guys. Like I said, I am going on vacation for the rest of the week. So I will not be around going family stuff, Mars and Cancer, family vacation. And I will check in with you guys next week when I get back. And I hope you guys enjoy the week. There's a lot going on coming up. We do have a new moon in Aries. And some people are confusing that with the eclipse. Just very quickly, the new moon in Aries on March 21st is not the eclipse in Aries. The eclipse in Aries happens in April. We're getting 2 new moons in the sign of Aries. One is going to be on March 21st at 0 degrees of Aries. And then next month in April 20th, we're getting a solar eclipse, which is also a new moon, but this is going to be an eclipse in Aries at 29 degrees 50 minutes. So I don't know, somebody sent me a message saying that a couple of astrologers were saying that the March was an eclipse, but I don't think that's the case. I don't think an astrologer would have confused that. It might be that people are misunderstanding and thinking that the upcoming new moon is an eclipse. The upcoming new moon on March 21st is not an eclipse. It's just a new moon, but the April 20th is a solar eclipse in Aries. And I talk about both of these lunations and the distinctions in your March and April forecasts. So go and check that out for your rising sign and your sun sign. Okay. So have a great day, guys. And remember, if you want to check out any of my webinars, they are on sale at insightfulastrology.com for 50% off for a limited time. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Bye.